All right, this is one of the coolest things I've ever made with black walnuts, right? This is green walnut jam. This is a traditional recipe in the Caucasus, Greece, Armenia, Georgia, kind of all over the place, Eastern Europe. And you want to get walnuts that are about the size of small ping pong balls. They have to be before the shell is formed. And then you're going to take a peeler. The peeler is really important here. I use a Kuhn cone. Some older recipes will tell you to use a paring knife. That'll drive you crazy. But you got to peel the nuts, and you have to do this. It's not very easy, but some things take time. So it'll be worth it, trust me. And you're going to peel them. It's going to give them this kind of jeweled shape, and it also reduces the amount of husk on there. Just don't even think about skipping it. Just get a Kuhn cone peeler, and you will be totally fine. Also, I'm using black walnuts here. I don't know of recipes using other nuts, but you can definitely do this with butternuts too, as long as they're harvested in the right stage, which would be a month before black walnuts, just for reference. Next, you're going to pierce the nuts. This is also super important. Piercing the nuts makes it so when you soak them, the water, you're going to soak them for a week, and the water is going to get in there, and it's going to help remove some of those tannins and kind of soften them down. Then, in the final cooking stage, the holes really help the sugar syrup to penetrate the nuts and candy them. If you've ever tried pickled walnuts and you thought the taste of the husk was terrible, you have to try this. This is totally different. Okay? The sugar just kind of transforms them. So you're going to poke them about 5 or 6 times each. That should be plenty. Then you're going to let them sit for at least a week. You can change the water. Doesn't really matter if you forget. There's going to be some fermentation. And the fermentation is natural. You'll just see some little bubbles. It's not going to hurt them at all. But the nuts, you're going to see they're going to turn nice and black. And they're going to get even blacker here in a minute. Because now it's time to cook them. So take your nuts, drain them, put them into a big pot like a pasta pot. Then you're going to add a whole bunch of sugar. This is preserved in a heavy syrup. Do not try it with a thinner syrup. You're not going to drink the syrup, so just don't worry about that. You need the concentration of sugar to really soak in and change the texture of the nuts. I have a spice bouquet in there. That's Gallium triflorum leaves. You could use a vanilla bean. A little lemon zest is great. Don't put cinnamon or it'll taste like Christmas. And then you're going to boil this. And this is going to cook for a while. You're going to need to cook this until the texture looks like warm honey and it coats the back of a spoon. It's not exactly an exact recipe. I do have an exact recipe on my site that's more specific than I'm doing here. This is just a walkthrough to tell you what it is, the basic method, and that you should try it because it's freaking cool. Really, coolest thing I've ever made with black walnuts. Just keep cooking and eventually the syrup is going to thicken up, and then you're going to put them into jars while it's piping hot. Okay, that's important. I use quart jars because the quarts are going to hold heat longer because you're not going to do this in a water bath, although you could. And then I get the nuts in there, and boom, you can see I put a little bit of lemon juice there. That's going to lower the acidity, just kind of help as a preservative. Fill the jars with the nuts and syrup nearly to the brim. Turn them upside down. Again, really important that the syrup and the nuts are very hot here because you're not going to water bath can them. If any of the jars don't seal after they cool, you can absolutely can them in a water bath. That's totally fine. But you really don't need to. This is super safe with acid and all of that sugar. And black walnuts themselves are really just a stable kind of thing. But basically that's it. Serve them with a cheese plate. Have them with a good little glass of brandy or sherry, and they're great. Thanks for watching.